Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Shooting the Shelf. I'm Jesse Arnold, and you are watching the Just Shelve It channel over here on YouTube. Thank you, Merry Sunday night. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, and my guest, who I'll bring on in just a moment here. It's been 2 weeks, and it has been quite an eventful. Man, I can't talk. Eventful 2 weeks between doing Mythic Legion or Four Horsemen Intern for a day, GCon, LegionsCon last weekend, and then coming home and getting floored by COVID for the past week. So I'm on the mend. I am definitely feeling better. So for all of you who have been sending inquiries and checking in on me, I really appreciate it. Really means a lot to me. So thank you very much. And for all of you amazing people that I got to meet at LegionsCon, it was such an amazing weekend. I had so much fun. Would not change any of it. Well, maybe the last hour or two, just because that's when illness started to take me. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm going to bring on my guest now here, and we'll get right into it. So give a warm digital welcome to the one and only Alexander DeShaw from Drunk Gizmo Customs. Welcome to the show, Alexander.
Hey everybody. Hey Jesse, how you doing? And apparently happy holidays.
Yes, yeah. Merry. So you said we were talking a little bit before you've been getting your workshop area back and straightened up this week, and
Yep.
we'll get into all the details and stuff as much as we can. But how did LegionsCon itself go for you? Did you have that was your first time, right?
Yep, it was my first time, and I kind of went all out. I got the lotto for intern, then GCon, and then the 2 days of the show, and it was surreal. I keep telling people that. Like, if people ask me this whole past week was, how was it? How was it? I'm like, the only thing I can say is it's surreal, because you got to meet the horsemen, you got to meet the people that you know chat with almost on a daily basis in the cabal, and you got to put names to faces. So it was awesome. It was awesome meeting everyone.
Very cool. I 100% agree with that. I've been fortunate. Going last year and being close enough to them, I've gotten to meet them at a couple shows. So,
Because you saw them at PowerCon, right?
I saw them. Yeah, PowerCon, ZoloCon, RetroCon.
Oh, I didn't realize you went up to all those. Damn.
Yeah, because I'm 3 hours basically 3 hours from the studio. So RetroCon and ZoloCon are both in Philly, so that's only like an hour and a half away.
Okay.
PowerCon's the only real trek I made for it. So, but yeah, that's so surreal at how you had a pretty full out display at your table. You had like shelves stacked with fountains all over the place.
Yep. I tried to fill up the space as much as I could. So, and I think I did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I feel like my table felt a little overcrowded with my display, but at yours it looked like a nice array of all the things. There's the fountains, the wells. I wanted to come back and get one of your wells, so
I still have one left. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those wells were awesome. I mean, the whole all your fountains were amazing. I'm sorry I didn't get to spend more time looking at them, but like you said, the show was so crazy busy. It was hard to get away from that table.
It was extremely hard. I mean, the only breakout session I got to go to was the My Wife's Gonna Kill Me one. And that was just because it was at the end of the day of day 2. So, and I really wanted to go to a handful of those, and you lose track of time.
Oh, absolutely. I remember I think it was like 3:00 on Saturday before I realized that the show was almost over for the day. It just, yeah. Yeah, the only one I got to was right before that. I was at the Wolf King Custom, where they did they had new people come in. They got like little cool coin tokens, which apparently if you got one, there's a cool message around the side of the coin as well as on the coin itself or the token. and uh, you brought in a deluxe builder from the table, and you got to do pop and swap with all the parts they had in the room, and then you
That's
got to
awesome.
keep those parts. That was a really cool
That is really cool.
session. So I got to go in there and help some people who had never, like Curtis, who's in the chat. He was started explaining to people like how the figures were designed to like be modular and come apart. And I'm like, everybody knows this. And then some of the faces, I'm like, oh,
Maybe some of them don't.
maybe they don't know this. um, so yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, and just so many people to, like you said, put names to faces and just get to talk to and everything.
Yeah, it was
Um,
awesome.
So let's rewind it back to, what was it? I guess Thursday. That's when we got to meet for the first time
Yep.
at
Embraced with a
intern.
nice giant hug. It was awesome.
Yes, um, at the studios for Intern for a Day. What were your thoughts on Intern for a Day?
Magical.
Magical.
Just being on that side of this plastic crack addiction that we have, and for it to be the Horsemen, like I don't know, it was. I'm gonna say it again. It was surreal. Like being in that space is intoxicating. It was
Yeah,
crazy. And seeing all the stuff on the walls and everything that they have on the shelves and stuff, just damn, it was awesome.
yeah. I took almost no pictures during Intern and GCon. I was like, that was partially intentional. I should have taken more pictures during like the break time when we were hanging out with people,
Yep.
but I just wanted to focus on just taking it all in. And I think that set a bad precedent for the rest of the weekend with not pulling my phone out to take pictures. Um, but yeah, it's just crazy walking in that first vestibule. Like you're just taking everything into that first little entryway. And I think Walt or someone was like, "Come on in, there's more in here." And I'm like, "I don't need more." This,
Can I just stay here for like 3
yeah,
hours?
like it's gonna take me 3 hours to just process this front entryway.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, surreal and magical. Like getting to go in there and the greeting and all the guys and ladies of the studio just being there hanging out with everybody. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people have said this before, but for people who are new to the community and everything, just how down to earth. And I mean, I guess everybody at every company is just a normal person, but like they feel as easy to talk to as you are here, or
Right.
when we met in person. They
Yeah.
um, really make time to interact with us and talk with us, ask questions, put up with being pestered about making more fuzz monks
Or dragon.
or dragons. Yeah.
I was
So we,
surprised at how open they were with stuff.
yeah,
Like you would ask them a question like with Sherry or Cameron, like about how do you do this, or like what would you suggest to do this, and how open they are with their process. It's
hmm
just kind of crazy.
yeah. I mean, I've not really ever thought about going to any other toy company until I really got into Mythic Legions and the Horseman stuff. It was just, they were just companies that made toys. But as personable as this studio has been, I can't imagine walking into Hasbro or Mattel or anyone else in a group setting like that, especially with
Yeah,
almost 100 other people or however many people were there, um, to just get like a tour through their facility and getting to talk to the people who paint the prototypes and everything. Um,
yep.
yeah, it was really cool. Did you have a favorite of the sessions? So there was the sculpting session with Eric, the tour with Jim, the split painting session with either Sherry or Cameron, and then the packaging art and photo session with Nate and Trevor. Did you have a specific part that stood out to you the most?
I think it was the sculpting one with Eric was my absolute favorite, just to see his process and to see how he would go in with like different suggestions or maybe ideas that he had, and then just kind of fleshing them out. That's not to say that all the other spots were not
Of
as
course.
great, because like I said, the I had Cameron and I think you had Sherry
hmm
for the painting, and just I mean he answered any question that you had. and he went beyond that too. You know what I mean? Like, same thing with Trevor and Nate. Like, they were totally open and honest about everything that of their process. So like it was, and then the tour of the studio and the upper levels was really cool to see too, just to see what else they do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I definitely can't pick a favorite session, but I think the one that stood out the most to me was the because like you said, they're so interesting. But the paint time we had with Sherry, she had such a small little office, and there was only a couple of us over there, and I think we asked her so many questions, she never got to do any like painting demonstration with us.
Okay.
But she was talking through her like color charts, like from when she was back with. I think she started off back with like McFarlane or some other company. I don't remember the details now, but she had like an old like piece of paper on the wall with the old colors, like what
Okay.
the to mix to and which ones would go best and everything. And
That's cool.
yeah, it was just really cool to get her input and everything. So what did Eric sculpt during your session? Were we in the same session?
I don't think so, because didn't
Okay.
you guys do like a female something or another, or was
No,
that a
we
suggestion?
someone else got that. We had the like the kind of fish, the
Oh
angler
yeah, we
fish.
must have been the same one. We had like the
Okay,
fish guy
okay.
with thin ears and
With the big jaw and the
yeah.
giant eyes. Okay. See, you don't even remember we were in the same session.
We're just so enthralled with what was going on
Yeah,
in
it
front
was
of us. It was like tunnel vision.
yeah. I mean, I called out Fuzzmonk and he kind of got his attention, and then someone else said fish person, and that was the end of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, someone else got the female Fuzzmonk later in the day. Uh,
Yeah, his process with like adding like the sculpt, like the clay. That was just, it makes me want to try to get into ZBrush and maybe even try it. So
he he makes it look so easy.
he does. They all make
And I
it.
know that. Yeah. Like, did you see the one Emil did with Curtis in the Wolf Den a couple months ago when he
Yes.
made that? When he's just talking and we're throwing ideas out to him, and he's just like, "Oh, okay, yeah," and he's just like, "Yeah,
It's
it's amazing
crazy
watching."
how to watch it and see how effortless it seems. Even though
Yeah,
if you talk to them, it's not, but it seems that
yeah.
way.
Well, I'm sure we'll get into this then. Like with you making your fountain dioramas, there's little things now that I'm sure you do now that like you don't even think about that much. That when you first started out, were probably like you had to really pay attention to the steps, and now
Yeah.
you've probably done it so many times. It's just like, oh, you can do the dongle with the thing, and it or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, with them doing the sculpting, it's got to be the same way where they've, especially doing it in hand first and then learning the 3D. How many hours went into that one stroke he does to sculpt into the details on the fins or whatever. Like how many hours behind that little motion he did.
And now it's just second nature.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, intern. All right, GCon.
Yeah.
We won't take too long going through every character, but was there a top figure or three that really? I mean, they were all impressive. I don't think
Right.
we would argue that. Is there a couple that just really jumped out to you?
Oh, I like the new Templar with the cloth tunic or tabard.
Okay.
I really like that. The skeleton horse was mind blowing.
Yeah.
That the small details on that beast master lady.
Okay.
I don't remember her name.
Belulith.
Balulith, yeah. She the amount of detail that's in her, let alone Necronominus.
Mm-hmm.
It blows my mind. Like there's not really a bad figure in this wave
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. Like I was looking at her and I realized most of her, like the figure itself is a regular 2.0 female, like the armor and everything.
Mhm.
But the head and all the extra stuff that comes with it, like I didn't even realize what her body type was until several days after when I was really looking at the pictures, because it's just it's just so cool, and it's awesome getting another child of Necronominus that's not
That kind of
just
threw me off. Like, not
yeah,
really threw me off, but like it was a nice surprise that there was another um child of Necronominus.
yeah.
So
And I like that they've now, maybe I just always assumed it was all skeletons before, but now with this wave, it's an army of the undead. It's not just skeletons between her as a ghoul, the zombies, the ghosts, like
right,
all that stuff is really cool. Um, yeah, Danny's over here.
the
He's
Reaper.
saying the Reaper is going to break through and bring a lot of folks. It definitely will.
Yeah,
I definitely see that happening.
having that bear skeleton body is going to
Yeah,
be a game changer.
he he's definitely one of my favorite. I think in the wave, like in his full armored
Yeah,
presentation. Um, and then like he's one I'd have to get a couple of, just have him as himself, and then have a bunch of just the bear skeletons to swap out,
yep,
and can make so many other skeleton pieces and everything.
right.
So yeah, so for me, was it Maxilius the Reaper is definitely one of the tops. Um, yeah, I'll definitely go with Conibus the horse, and
For sure.
uh, of course Necronomus is absolutely beautiful. And Curtis, if you're ready, go ahead and take a drink. I'm gonna say ornate. Apparently we said ornate a lot in the Legions cast episode this week. But my final choice will be the tuberculi, the bone beasts. Just the amount of configurations I think we're going to see come out of that,
Yeah,
without any paint apps or any third party parts. You
yeah.
get 4 or 5 of those, and you're going to have a field day popping and
Oh yeah.
swapping that thing.
Those are like nightmare characters. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Or put some of those long bone arms on like a regular armored skeleton, so they're like half deformed, maybe they're getting mutated into these things or something. And it's going to be wild to see what people come up with.
yeah.
Ostentatious. Yeah, I feel like, so multiple, what of this line do you feel like you need multiples of?
Right, Sir Elijah,
Okay.
the Templar, the Reaper. Is it
Maxilius.
Maxilius? Yeah,
Mhm.
and the tuberculi for
Okay.
sure. I mean, those are. I mean, if you want to do a whole like undead, like, or not even undead, like the Sir Ujak.
Yeah, I don't remember. I
The,
think I had it the other day. I've lost it. The ogre
Greg the
scale knight.
Scale in
Yeah.
Toyful. So, I mean, those are that's another game changer. That's a whole nother realm of parts for the line.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, most of the characters in this wave are unique enough that, like, I won't, like with Sir Ukchak, the ogre. I don't know if I'll need multiple of him, just because of how unique that armor is and how cool his story is. I'd like to get an ogre head, uh, to put on there at some point. Um, but yeah, the tuberculi, the undead builder pack, and the harvester, the grim reaper one, like those 3 will definitely be ones I need multiples of. And if you get, I'm really excited to see what happens if you can mix some of the bone parts of Conibus with Bishop or the other horses, and to give like other like half decayed horses looks and
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm sure they'll that could that can happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
because what is it? Elijah, Adalric, Uxak, and the horse, the hero horse, they all come with the bone head
the
that you can
bonehead.
swap out. So,
Yeah,
um,
and that right there is another game changer. Really, I mean, 2 characters for one. I mean,
yeah,
holy crap!
yeah, yeah. So even if you get 2 Sir Elijahs, you just swap out that skull mask, that skull plate for that in that coif, and it's a totally different character.
It is.
Yeah,
The customizing for this line is going to be crazy alone, but like mix it with previous lines, It's up. It's going to be next level.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, absolutely. And that 6 hours seemed to fly by, in my opinion. I think it was coupled with the excitement of, oh, what's coming next, and
Yeah.
going to set up Friday night at the convention.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it flew by. Um,
And
and the
kudos to Jeremy and Eric for sitting there for
oh
6 hours
yeah,
straight. Like they didn't
yeah,
get up at all.
no, they did not. Um, yeah, I got up once or twice, uh, but yeah, for the most part, and those were not the most comfortable chairs, so like they had to be feeling that.
They had to.
um, Danny's saying, yeah, we need an ogre scale skeleton. I would love, even if it was just like partial skeleton parts.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. And I mean, we are going to get whatever All Stars 6+ is in the spring. This wave is going to continue into that to some extent. So,
All year. I think that's what they said.
yep, they did call it the year of Necronominus. So,
It'd be interesting to see what they bring to the table with everything. That to see what this wave would have been if they didn't have to cut it down.
yeah, yeah, and it's like we knew All Stars 5. They did the trolls because they couldn't work another troll. They didn't want to put a troll in that. Will we see
Skeleton troll?
some sort of skeleton troll, or like bone armor troll or something, or a zombie troll, with like, yeah, it'll be exciting to see what happens.
Yeah.
I know the tuberculi comes with the dwarf shins, but I would like to see some smaller scale dwarf characters, even if it was just like a builder, like, yeah, it'll be exciting to see. Because last year they did it as kind of like of an arena contest, or this year, I guess, for the All Stars 5, the vote. So it'll be interesting to see what goes. And, if they do an All Stars figure release, will they come with a skull head if it's not a skull character, since it's the Necronominus wave, just to.
That can totally be on the table now,
Yeah.
considering this wave. So
Yeah.
it'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. Any other thoughts from GCon or Intern before we move on to the convention itself?
No, not that I can think of. Like, I mean, it was. I wish I would have taken more pictures, and that goes for the whole weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I promised myself I would just take the time and just take it all in and kind of breathe it in, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. Do I regret not taking more pictures? Yep. But having those memories, that just being in the moment, will stay with me forever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 100% agree. Skullotho confirmed.
Oh, Curtis.
Tuberculosis is cool, but I don't know that I'll order extra. Oh, yeah. Yeah, one tuberculosis is enough, but tuberculi, I'll take a couple. Let's see. All right, so before we get into the convention, you brought your wells. That's kind of become your signature thing. How did that start? How did you get into making wells specifically? Like, how did you get into making dios? Not wells, fountains. And wells.
Wells are in there too. So
yeah.
It honestly happened. I was talking to my best friend. His name's Alex. And we were like, we need something for our displays, like something that just kind of is like a centerpiece, either like in a regular shelf or a DTOF. And I started doing some searching around and found a YouTube video that made a fountain for smaller scale,
Okay.
like D&D miniatures and stuff. And I was like, I can totally do that, but just make it 1/12 scale. And I made a couple, and he was like, these are really good. I'm like, all right, well, I can try to do different designs. So I made 3 more. That was October of last year. And then I figured out the resin and how I was going to do all the water effects and stuff. and it he's like, dude, these are really, really good. I'm like, I don't know. Like it's that artist mentality of like it
Yeah.
I did this and it's like I like it. I don't know if it's that good, but um so then I was like, well, maybe I can see if there's any interest in it for selling them possibly. And it took a while, but then March of this year came and I ended up selling all 5 of them. And I was like, these were supposed to be for us. And I was like, let me mix some more. And then everyone started blowing me up on the cabal that had bought them at the show, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And now I have a whole rack of them back behind
And
here.
which show is that again?
That was GCon here in West
Okay.
Michigan.
Okay.
So,
And that was the first time you had them out for
yep,
purchase?
yep,
Very cool.
yep.
Um, so you said you started doing those in October last year. How did you get into Legions?
Legions came. I had known about Legions since like 2018. Um, Same friend, Alex, he had gotten in on the Advent of Decay, and he was showing me all of them. I was like, oh, these are really cool. The price point for me at the time was like, I don't know if I can do that. And kind of my son was just starting to get into collecting action figures at that time as well. And so we just kind of stuck with Marvel Legends at the time.
Okay.
And then I started doing some custom work. My son and I play this game called Dead by Daylight, and it's like a killer versus survivor type of thing. And we were making the killers, and one of the killers is a Oni, and I was like, I need a big enough figure for it. And Alex was like, why don't you get a ogre figure
Okay.
from with Legions? And so there was a small toy show, February of 2020, and I bought my first Mythic Legion, and that was a ogre Legion builder.
Okay.
And I didn't even like use that one for the custom I wanted. So, and then a few months later, I had 6 of them, and then a couple months later, I had 20, and it just kind of it's gone out of control ever since.
Yeah.
So
Excellent. When uh so when you said the fountains you originally made, you just upscaled them for, were you upscaling them for Mythic Legions last year? Was that
yeah,
the specific intent to put with
yep,
those displays? Okay.
yes, yep, or 1/12 scale,
Okay.
whatever, you know what I mean. But it was mainly for um, our Mythic Legions displays.
Okay.
So, and
Very cool.
those 5, like I said, I don't even have any of those original ones anymore. So,
Nice.
but
Curtis is saying something here that the best thing about Alexander and most people in the community is they do cool stuff. They also share their knowledge with others. I totally agree. I remember popping into, I don't remember which was it. It was one of the, I don't think it was the Cabal. It was one of the other groups you were doing a live working on your fountains. And I think that's the first time you and I really got to interact much.
yeah, yeah.
And that was just watching you do that and you were answering questions. That was really cool. So if you ever
Well,
see,
I I don't think there's any real secret to it. You know what I mean? If you look around, you'll find the what you're trying to do, and if people are asking while I'm working on it, what's the point of kind of saying, "Well, this is kind of a secret"? I, I don't I don't believe in that. So
yeah,
I like to be open and honest about it, and it seems to everyone seems to be liking what I'm doing. So I'm gonna continue to do some more lives once I
absolutely.
get
Oh,
my
cool.
studio back in order. So
Awesome. Yeah, I was just gonna say if folks watching this get a chance, if you see Alexander go live with one of his workshop videos, definitely check it out. It's really interesting to watch. Uh, and, if you've never done dios or if you've done dios or different things, like I had just started really working on stuff when I saw his, and it gave me ideas to put water in mine. And um, yeah, it's really
and
cool.
yours turned out amazing.
Oh,
Like
thank you.
that I mean, not just the water part, but like the whole thing was just you nailed it. From the pictures that you showed me when you reached out and said, "Hey, can I bounce some ideas off of you?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." From that to the execution, dude, it was brilliant. It was
Well,
awesome.
thank you. Thank you very much. Well, you definitely, I got to give you props. You definitely gave me the inspiration and the you know, the steps to get going with the water feature and that, because initially I thought of it and I'm like, I don't want to mess with all this stuff, and I found someone who did a different type of water than the way you do your water.
Mhm.
um but I wouldn't have gotten to that without watching what you did. And so yeah, so thank you, that was a
Yeah,
lot of
you're
fun.
welcome, man. It was. I mean, I think my first one was. I think I did my first live in July. I think, and that's when you and I really started connecting and stuff. And um, it it was it was nice to like kind of share that kind of part of my life, I guess, because it I don't really do a whole lot of this stuff with like outside of like with my family and stuff. My family knows about it
Sure.
and they think that's really cool, but to they I don't think they understand like what kind of goes into it. Whereas like someone like you or like Curtis being in that live stream and having you guys ask me all the questions and stuff, it actually makes me rethink of what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So it actually helps me out and it helps you guys out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it I learn more from the live streams almost than I do just sitting here tinkering away.
it, I know this has come to me too this way, like with people have asked painting things, which when people ask me painting questions, I find that weird. Just because, like you said, the whole artist thing, I'm always happy to answer, but I'm like, I mean, there's other people that could probably answer this better for you, but here's how I kind of stumble through it. Um, but it's, someone might say something, and the way they ask the question, it puts something in a perspective that I maybe didn't notice, or I wasn't seeing it from that angle or something.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. Got some more people joining in. Welcome, Oz, Douglas. Thanks for joining in, and everybody else. I
Hi
know
guys.
we jumped right into the conversation. I didn't really get to say hi to everybody, so thank you everybody for joining us so far. Or if you're watching on replay, whatever the cool term is the kids are using these days.
The VOD.
So you got into Mythics because you were going to make an Oni for a different game, and you
Yep.
just got hooked, and you never actually made that figure with that, or that custom with that particular figure, right?
Nope. I actually ended up making that custom out of Archimedes.
Okay,
So yeah.
very
And
cool.
he was actually on display at the show. Um that Oni figure was. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Very cool. Um, I feel like I saw it, but I can't remember, and I don't want to be disingenuous. It's
Okay. It's hard to remember what was at whose table.
yeah, yeah, especially since being at a table, you didn't really get to absorb much. If you got to walk around at all, you didn't really get to take in the other people's tables so much.
Yeah.
It's kind of like there's like a visual, like a live action photo dump in your brain trying to store it all.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Um, So setting up at the show, after all that, and so you've been in the Mythic Legions for a couple years.
Yep.
Um, and this, other than the stuff in Michigan for the shows you've done there, this was your first time really getting to interact with a large group of the Cabal, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. How did that go for you?
Really well. I mean, everyone says it about the community, but everyone's so welcoming. Everyone's so helpful. Um, I guess the one thing that did surprise me was how tall or short people were, because we have this like mental image of people,
Sure.
and I'm kind of a taller guy at 6'2", but like I couldn't I didn't realize how many people were like around my height, so that was kind of surprising, I guess. But
and then a couple people that surpass it.
yeah, yeah. Um, but I mean, yeah, the Cabal, man. I mean, I watched your Mythic Minute on Thursday, and it's, they say Cabal above all, and it takes on a different meaning after you meet everyone. Like
Absolutely.
everyone's just so helpful. Everyone is just so like, I mean, we're all here for the same thing, but there's no like in other groups are, if you say, hey, I like this figure, then you're like ousted, you're castorized for it. You know what I mean? Like, but in here it's like, yeah, that's awesome. That if that's what you love, that's what you love, and we love you for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember doing Legion's Lair with Mike and Brad back in the summer, and I think I had forgotten or I didn't know that Vitus was one of Mike's favorite characters, and at the time I was joking. Like, I don't really dislike any Legion figure, but he was in my top 5 or top 3 or top 5 least liked figures at the time.
okay,
Just it was more of just for fun, because I had gotten it in the mystery box, the Empire mystery box, and I saw a
okay.
bunch of other people had gotten him too. So it was kind of like, oh, he's the Lando on the peg warming the shelves right now. But they kept me on the show. They didn't immediately end the broadcast and kick me out. So
Well, I mean, right there. I mean, that's a perfect example. Like somebody's favorite is obviously someone's one of their least favorite,
mhm.
and it doesn't really matter because it's like there's a whole array of characters.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
and I think it's Danny River Swift here. I think it was him who I first heard say this or type this, that each of our homes, our shelves are the multiverse of mythos. It's it might be the same
yeah,
characters, but because we don't have, not that we don't have an official story from them, but there's not that defined property like the Star Wars movies or something,
yeah,
where like if you do something a little bit different with your Delphina, or your Vitus, or something that's not the way someone else does it, it's okay, because that we can do whatever we want with them, and
right,
it's encouraged by the company. So
yeah.
um
And then there's people like I saw a post on the Cabal, whether I think it was Saturday, yesterday, but he said, does anybody else have the OCD-ness of where I have to like keep everything as it is from the package? Like he doesn't like to pop and swap. And
mm,
if that's how you want to do it, that's how you want to do it too. Like, I mean, that's what the figure is out of the package. So, but they're there to pop and swap too. So
yeah,
it's
yeah, I'm getting to the point now where for me there's a lot of like the main characters are like actually named characters I want to keep as they are, or maybe with a little bit of an embellishment or something, especially as we get further into the line and we're getting you know different paint techniques or different styles, to upgrade them if they don't do a version 2 or something. But for the most part, it's, you know, if I have Vitus, I have Vitus. If I get a second Vitus, it's going to get dismantled and used as a custom for something else.
yep,
And then you can do, even more, whatever you want, because it's all in your imagination. So yeah. Um, so how long into getting them did you start customizing um, the Mythic Legions? Was that pretty much within those first 6 or so you got? Did you start customizing, or did that take a while?
it kind of took a while. I did a few customizations here and there. The first few being ogre scale, and then my son, the first kind of like true pop and swaps were done by him, and it was 3 goblins, and we
Okay.
just kind of mixed match some stuff, and I had some fodder stuff, and he was putting stuff on here, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, what if we put this on here?" I was like, "Let's try it," and those are 3 goblins that are still intact today in our little goblin layer that we made. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
So you said your son, he's about 9, you
Yeah.
said? Okay. And you just did some customs with him this weekend where he did a lot of painting of the parts.
Yes. Yep.
And you posted that was he's taken the Acapara from
Yep.
Legion
Wolf
shop
King. Wolf
and
King.
Wolf King, sorry,
Yep.
and making your guys' version of the turtles, the
Of the
Ninja
turtles.
Turtles
Yep.
at him. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. He said he wanted to make the turtles out, and I was like, okay, what do you want to use? And he said he wanted to use goblins because he wanted them
Okay.
small. So I was like, all right, yeah, we can do that. And then I got some of the parts from LegionsCon, and I had them this past weekend, and I was like, we can start these, but you're gonna start painting them. I'm like, I can help you, but I mean, if you want to start painting this stuff and you want this stuff done, you're gonna start it, buddy. So once he was done, I showed him how to do stuff, and he's like, he just was staring at him like and smiling. He's like, I can't believe I did these. I'm like, I know, it's that easy, you know. I mean, you did this, like, and he's not very. I mean, he's very artistic, and he's got tons of ideas, but like this is like the first real thing that came together for him, and he's like, I did this. So like, it was
That's really
really
cool.
really cool to see him say that, and I was like, do you want me to post these? I mean, we only have 2 of them done right now. And I was like, or do you want to wait till we get all 4 of them done? And he goes, post it. I want to see what people say. So like every time someone would comment, I would have him read it,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
the smile on his face of pure joy and like prideness of what he did. Like he was so proud.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So I don't have any kids myself. So how fun is that to bring him into not just the line itself, but into the hobby and just that kind of creativity? Is it is I mean, you said he helped make a couple of the goblins, so his imagination is running wild as ours are with these, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny to see things through his eyes. Because I mean he's a smaller kid. Um I mean, not just because he's 9, but physically he's like a skin and bones. And
Okay.
he loves all the critter stuff. And I'm like, you fit in with like half the cabal. And I show him stuff from the cabal all the time. And every time something new comes out, either from like Legion Shop or Wolf King or even from the Horsemen, I'm constantly showing him what's out there. And it's like, oh, that would be cool to get. What if we painted that like this, or like that? So it's seeing it through a 9-year-old's eyes is amazing.
Very cool.
So
That's awesome. So I mean, obviously he wants to finish the turtles. Is this something you think he might like pick up doing as he gets a little bit older, doing more of this?
I,
Or
I it's hard to say. I mean,
kids?
they're
Yeah.
he's at that age where he likes it, but I don't know how far he's gonna go with it. Because I don't think he does this type of stuff at his mom's house. So it's
Okay.
kind of like one of those things where he does it at dad's house and then he
Okay.
takes some of it home. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. And I keep forgetting to ask this. What totally sidetracking here. Um Drunk Gizmo.
Yeah.
What's the story behind this name?
um, it my gamer tag on
Okay.
PlayStation. Um, and it came from the dog that we had at the time.
Okay.
And I was switched from Xbox to PlayStation, and my name on the Xbox was Drunk Cowboy, and I couldn't switch it over. It said it was taken up, and it was like an hour or 2 long. I was over at my brother's house. I'm like, what am I gonna what am I gonna what am I call myself on here? Like I was trying to figure it out, and I had my dog with me, and we were like, what about Gizmo? Drunk Gizmo. All right, yeah, that sounds good. And I've been that for 14 years now on there. But um, when it came time to trying to brand myself, um, I was going back and forth with a few different things, and I was like, I'm known by Drunk Gizmo by a lot of people, and that's what my Instagram account is. And I was like, what about just Drunk Gizmo Customs? And everyone that I
Okay.
talked to about it said they loved it. So I was like, all right, sounds good. I'll go with that.
No, it's great because
So,
it puts in mind, obviously Gizmo and the Gremlins, but
yeah.
then the Drunk Gizmo Customs. It's just this whole kind of cacophony of imagery that I think goes really well. So I don't necessarily picture fountains when I hear it, but just the creative imagination that came up with that name just really um is really fun.
Thanks. Thanks.
Um
I thought about changing it, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe if things kind of progress a little differently, then maybe another name will present itself. So
okay.
we'll
That's
see.
fair. Um so what about the customizing and obviously you said you made the fountains to like enhance your shelves and your displays and stuff. What are some of your favorite things about customizing and doing the builds and things like um, from a creative standpoint and just the tactile like hands-on parts of it?
Um, I think it's just kind of creating your own characters. You know what I mean? Like, I played D&D back in my college days, and um, just having like that creative control over this is my dwarf, and this is what he looks like, and this is why he looks like it, and this is kind of taking that imagery in your head and making it a reality. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
especially like all the party, excuse me, the party photos that we see, like the adventuring parties, and
Oh yeah.
that it totally, it's not necessarily D&D, but obviously it's fantasy, but like it, if I were to play a Dungeons and Dragons game now, I would be like, let's make our characters with mythic legions. And if we upgrade armor, boom, we're going to upgrade our armor right along with it. If we find, a long sword and we have a short sword, we're going to swap that out and put that new sword in. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that would, that's how I would do it. But I mean, just even though I don't play now, but my shelves are pretty much like a D&D party on each shelf. I just kind of look at the the silhouette of the group, I guess, and
Okay.
kind of balance it out. And yeah,
So is that how you have your shelves? How do you have your shelves arranged? Like in like group parties like that, or do you have them in faction, or just however you
kind
want?
of kind of both. There's like a monster shelf, um, but I also like I mix lines too. Like I have Mythic
Okay.
Legions mixed with Masterverse, mixed with um, some Marvel Legends and um, DC multiverse stuff.
Okay.
So like I have like a shelf for like I'm kind of making this like Cthulhu cult group, and that has a wide variety of people in it. I have this like Arabian Night crew
Oh, cool.
that has like, geez, I don't know, like there's like 5 Masterverse people in there, but there's also Sir Gerard's up in there, Grisha's up in there. Like
Oh,
it's
cool.
it's just a mod podge of badness, I guess. But I mean, I also have like a
Awesome.
Tundra shelf where there's like a bunch of cold people. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
so it's that kind of thing. Like, but I also have a shelf that has like the army of Leodicius on it. It's just kind of all over the place.
Very cool. No, I like that. I love seeing the adventure party stuff that people were doing ear earlier this fall or into some whenever that hashtag was going around, and I just saw someone started doing again with
Okay.
some new stuff. Um, but yeah, I mine are mostly broken down. At least the legions are broken down to like factions, so they're kind of grouped together. So I might have my goblins and my orcs kind of separated out in the Legion of Arethyr section, um, just because I don't have a big enough space to put all of them together.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just seeing the armies kind of form up and then making little parties within. the factions is, I guess, is kind of how mine are going.
Okay. Yeah. I can
That's
see
cool.
that.
I like, but there's a part of my mind that wants to do like the tundra shelf or like a desert shelf or the
Yeah.
jungle shelf, you know, and have the good and the bad mixed in. And
Yeah.
well, that's really cool. Do you have a favorite custom that you've done?
Ooh, I don't know. The Oni's up there. I did a Cthulhu. Um, that one, there's stuff I want to redo on it, but that one's probably up there as well.
Is that one of those teal Titan heads?
Yeah, yep. There's another one that I had at my show. It was a super, super easy pop and swap. It was the head from the New Eternia Skeletor,
Hmm.
like the helmeted head with like the little goatee and stuff, and I just popped that onto a scaphoid. And I don't think I posted him, but I'm got this like backstory, and he just, I don't know why, but I ever since I put that head on him, I'm like gravitated towards him a lot.
Okay.
So he looks really cool. That's pretty much it. There's a squid looking guy that I did, Squid Warrior, but that's I think that's it for like true customs.
Okay.
Besides the turtles that
Okay.
I posted this past weekend.
And when it comes to making the fountains and other like the wells and other diorama things you work on, what obviously adding to your shelf and the display and the storytelling aspect of it, but like what part of it, like working with your hands and using the tools, like what about that aspect of it do you really enjoy?
I think it's the process to get to the final design, I guess.
Okay.
I take a lot of um, inspiration from real life fountains and stuff. I just Google search like either like Gothic fountains or medieval fountains, and I
Okay.
just take stuff here and there, and I'm like, oh, this aspect would look cool if I can mix it with this, and then trying to figure out how that works out. Like there's one design that I haven't really fleshed out yet, but I have one made, but it's not finished. And I know I want to try to figure out how to do that design because it's kind of like this like weird like concave like weird cauldron type of look, but um
Okay.
it's not, I just haven't figured out a good way to do it because it's kind of circular, but it's also kind of vase like. I don't know, it's odd. So I'm still
Okay.
trying to figure that out to make it look realistic and make it look like a final piece.
Okay.
Because other right now it just looks like it's piece like it's glued together, and I don't like it.
Okay. Yeah.
But
um So looking at the pieces I saw in person and the things I've seen you post, like the detail and like the textures, the different colors, like like depending on the colors you put into it, like I immediately feel like I'm standing in front of like you know, a fountain in a lost castle in like the English countryside or something, or some of them depending on the colors, it's like, okay, this is out of like an Italian plaza
yeah,
kind of place, and it's just really cool all the different the textures and the things you get into them that evoke those feelings just immediately. Like some feel warm, some feel cold, some feel like the poisonous, noxious ones you've done with the green water. Just you
yeah.
just get that you get that sulfur taste in your mouth, and yeah, it's really cool. I really enjoy seeing all the stuff you create.
Thanks. And those are like I've only had a couple of those that I've done like with the green stuff, but those are almost more fun to do than just the regular ones. Even though I love doing the regular ones, but just to see how far I can push the color palette, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And over to go back to LegionsCon, I had a couple people come up to me. They're like, every time I pass your booth, I smell water. I don't get it. So that was
Well,
kind of a nice compliment. I heard quite a few times over the weekend.
that's
So
cool. I
yeah,
know I'd hear it I'd hear the sound of the splashing and the the ripples and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Let's see, getting some comments over here. Oh, thank you guys. They're talking about my childlike view of things. Well, thank you very much. Yes, I've always said I feel like I'm just an 8-year-old trapped in a however old I am body at the given time. But I feel like this line definitely helps let that side come out in a very creative way or constructive way, because I'll be at work. I work in a custom picture frame shop, and there's times
Okay.
where I do a lot of the same repeat motions. I mean, I have to pay attention to what I'm doing, but it's not super complicated sometimes. So my mind gets to wander and think of like, all right, well, if I'm going to get this piece and this piece, and then if I mix these colors together, it just allows my imagination to run wild, and then I can get home and work on it. So, um, yeah. So kudos again to the company and all the 3D part guys that create all the stuff that we get to use to help bring our crazy imaginations to life.
For sure. Yeah.
Um, Guillermo feels the same way. Call myself a grown boy, man boy.
Man boy.
Absolutely. And I saw Oz was in here earlier. I want to give a quick shout out to Oz. I caught his live last night as he was opening the Headless Horseman. I caught it at the end, and he had a lot of nice things to say. So check out his channel. He's got a lot of cool toy stuff over there. And his stuff with Skelevator and Toy Frenzy and everything. So, oh, Trevor bounced in.
Yeah, he ended up buying one of the fountains, and I'm stoked to see what he does with it. I'm
Do
a
you
little
remember which
nervous,
one
but
he
I'm
got?
stoked. It actually was one of the first ones that I did, like not like the first 5, but my next batch. That was one of the ones that I did. Um, him and Nate Strong bought ones that were very similar. So
Okay.
um, it'll be very. I've never seen them photographed, so I'm very excited to see what they do with them. Nervously excited.
Yes. Well, from watching them do their him doing his session at Intern,
Yeah,
you just know he's going to make that thing. I mean, you already made it look so realistic, but the way he takes his photographs, it's going to look like it's right out of a movie set.
yeah. And he asked me to, but the one of the top questions I got with these was, do they glow? And they don't right now. But that is something I'm working on right now to either the ones I make from here on out glow, or try to modify these ones
Okay.
to make them glow. I just haven't figured out the right combination yet. So, but I have since LegionsCon, I have taken a little break and kind of let myself kind of decompress from LegionsCon and kind
Sure.
of see where I'm gonna go next with this stuff. So,
Okay. Curtis saying he absolutely loves his dwarven fountain. Really makes him stand out.
thank you, sir.
And Danny, yeah, you're a good man boy and you can take a 112 mimic puppet into a restaurant and interview folks with no shame. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw him doing that. He's got where's mine? He turned us on to someone on Etsy, or someone had like the mimic chest from D&D.
Okay.
It's got the teeth and the mouth and everything, and he's created this character, Gerald Funk, and he goes around. He's been doing lives and stuff on Instagram where he interviews
That's
people as the mimic.
okay. That's
It's
awesome.
great.
That's awesome.
Um, Gear was still a bit high from LegionsCon, literally and mentally. Yeah, I mean, that was a week ago, so the literally part,
Yeah.
that's impressive. Kerr saying wouldn't make them all glow. He prefers no glow. Yeah,
Okay.
I did glow on mine. I don't think I did enough layers to make, like, if you hit it with a black light, the like kind of the spring and the stream portion would glow. It was really bright in the venue to really show it off, but I probably should have done a couple more layers of the glow in the dark paint.
Okay.
But it was a nice. It didn't dry a color. It dried like a clear, or at worst a white if it was really thick, almost
Okay.
like a glue. So like you didn't really necessarily see the glow unless you had the black light or had charged it up or whatever. So
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Danny's asking, how would someone purchase one of your fountains now outside of the con?
I am working on that. My biggest fear with selling them online is shipping. Um, the spouts are just hot glue, and I don't want that to come off during the shipping or bend, so it just kind of comes down and then like it has like a little kink in it or whatever. Um, but since the con, I um, have an idea of how I'm gonna try to fix them so I can sell them online. So
Okay.
be on the lookout. I'll be posting that on my Instagram as soon as I figure out how to, and if it works, then I'll be setting up a shop on my website. So,
Okay.
which
And
the
that's
website is
just
not done.
the Instagram's just Drunk Gizmo Customs, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Spelled as you would imagine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Pardon me, I got a cough here. It's not all gone yet, but it's mostly gone. Oh man. So I know
Yep.
you said you took a break this week, and next year is a way off, a ways off. Are you already making plans for different stuff for next year, or just setting
Yeah.
up again?
Um, that I am. I don't know. I mean, I'll still be doing some fountains, but I have some other ideas I want to try to bring to the table. Since it's Drunk Gizmo Customs and not Drunk Gizmo Fountains, there's gonna be some more things that are gonna be coming up, and hopefully, I can produce enough to kind of put more of this other product that I want to do in people's hands,
Okay.
depending on how they get done. I have a rough idea of how I'm going to do them, but I'm not trying to be super cryptic about it. But I don't know
Sure.
how else to say it without saying I'm going to do this and then not being able
Right.
to produce the product I'm saying I want to try to put out. So
Well, I'm excited to see whatever you come up with. So I'll definitely be on the watch for that. Curtis is saying the bubble wrap behind the spout worked fine getting his home from New Jersey.
awesome. All right, that's good
And
to
he
hear.
had, I believe, about a 14 to 15-hour car ride to get back to his place. So
I believe so.
um, it's it's toilets, right? Mythic lose.
The fountains are basically ogre-sized toilets.
Well, if we're gonna do like the classic medieval toilet, you'd have to do like those communal ones. I don't know. Have you seen those
Yep.
like documentary videos where it's just like
A hole in like
like
the
a
side of the
conference
street
room
wall.
where there's just like 20 of them around around the room?
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
that I could probably do that actually.
See a
See
rise
if I
in
can
like
make it.
people trading for bare legs and like Brian Peacock and the guys that make the fabric soft good pants, so you can have
Yeah,
them
have them half down.
drop trowel.
Uh,
Uh,
that'd be great. Mythic
that's hilarious.
lose. I like
Oh
it.
man, someone's got to make that happen next year. Don't go gross with it. Still a family friendly show.
Yeah.
Rag on a stick. Oh, all right. I'm not. All right, we're
Yeah.
pushing the mayonnaise territory with these comments, Danny.
Oh, why would you bring that up? Now it's gonna be
I
flooded
know.
with mayonnaise jokes.
I know. I know.
You do that all the time.
I know. I set myself up. I don't even know how that got out. That I.
I think you
It's
said it
it's
on one
it's
of the
yeah,
shows.
I'm I'm youngest brother of 5. So I easily set myself up for stuff all the time, and I don't know I'm doing it, and then I keep doing it even though I know I do it. Yeah. Mayonnaise on a stick. Oh gosh.
That'd be hard mayonnaise. That's gross. How dare you, Danny?
See, I just had a horrible thought. Like, what if you made that into like a freeze pop and like
Jesse,
told?
stop. Don't do it. Don't do
Well,
that.
see, uh, you're welcome. Oh, okay. So it was Dooch. Matt Dooch started it from Legends of Grayskull. Okay. Oh, okay. We got a question. What's something, if anything, would either of you do differently next year's LegionsCon after the experience of this year's?
Get a different or get a bigger table. I don't know. Try it. I guess maybe take, like I said, take more pictures. Maybe I don't want to say walk the floor, but like put myself out there a little more. I don't think I did that as much as I probably could have. I mean, it was my first real big show, and so I was kind of a noob. And I think that's trying to putting yourself out there is like kind of selling yourself, and I don't really
Mhm.
do that the greatest. So
Okay.
try to learn that over the year.
I know. Not to make a joke out of it, but I would definitely eat better and drink a lot more water.
Yeah,
As far as the
I got scary
actual,
there for a second.
it was. Yeah, I think sleep better especially now that I know what I put into it this year. Um, start preparing earlier. Like I probably won't start working on anything specifically for LegionsCon until after the holidays this year.
Same.
But I'll start accumulating some parts and probably have a couple actual customs with intent to sell of my own this year. I really liked having the other 2 guys stuff with me at my table, but I'd hopefully next year maybe can get a bigger table or more tables to where a couple of the other guys can be there. I'm not the best brain when it comes to like bookkeeping and stuff. So either having
Try
someone
to keep
else
their stuff
manage
straight
that
from
and
your.
just me focus on like talking to people, um, and that sort of thing, or or like I said, sharing a space with a couple other people and someone else who's a little more studiously minded for that sort of thing. Um, yeah. Kurt's just throwing in something here. What is he saying? I think small portion of Alexander's table with figures around the well fountain would help people visualize how they look in their collection.
Yeah, and the first show that I did with them was in September. That was Toy Haven here in West Michigan, and I had brought quite a bit of figures across all the lines that I collect. But I felt like I didn't really need to really with this show because I mean we're all there for we all know what the figures look like.
Mm.
But that's why I did bring some of my customs. Two of them are 1.0 size, and then I had 2 of them that are Orga scale, and then I brought 2 Masterverse figures just for some other size comparisons. But um, I didn't want to overcrowd it with the figures because, like I said, I feel like we all know what the figures are. You know what I mean? Whereas a show like Toy Haven, it's kind of a generalized show.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a specific line. So I had brought a smorgasbord of figures, and that was from um like I have a Gears of War Storm Collectibles figure that I brought and then put out there, and like a Lobo figure, bunch of Mythic Legions, some Marvel Legends. Like I had like just about one figure from almost every toy line that I have.
Oh wow. Okay.
and that table was kind of crazy. And I wanted to do something similar to that at this show, but with it just being the 1 6-foot table, couldn't justify having that and having the amount of fountains that I wanted out having.
Okay. Very cool. I don't know if you've had this thought, because I was thinking of other twins I have Transformers. It'd be really fun to see you make a Cybertronian, like
Fountain.
robotic, well with just like oil or something.
That'd be fun. I do have some black glue sticks. I can make the oil slick come out.
Yeah, you could have it as like maybe it's like an old, I don't know, something lost in the city, or maybe it's somewhere where oh shoot, Springer takes RC on a date or something. Yeah, or oh yeah, even an Energon fountain would be cool,
Yeah,
like that kind
really
of
cool.
translucent purple.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
And I've thought about like doing some like Star Wars ones where it's like the rebel symbol or like
oh, that'd be cool.
yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, there's some ideas floating around for more fountains and more ideas, and some bigger fountains, some smaller fountains. So
Very cool.
this year will be very interesting to see where the fountains go.
Nice. Very cool. I know I will probably take less customs that I'm not intending to sell, like less stuff to show off.
Yeah.
Just because having to tell people no, that's not for sale felt, or just figure out a way to make sure that was obvious, or something.
Maybe like partitions, one side of the table for just like a display, and then the other side for like selling.
Sure. Yeah.
You could do that.
But yeah, I had a lot of figures in that display, on both of those displays, and they were it was as far
Your
as
table was full.
it was very full.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
Like, I mean, like when those first pictures that you sent me of your diorama, the one with the big statue of Xylona,
Uh-huh.
like I'm like, I thought you were just gonna like, scatter stuff here and there. That thing was chock full of your customs, man. It was amazing.
Yeah, I love the flock, and I really just wanted to show off the official figures with like my customs mixed in, just to show off for people how your customs, even if they aren't paint matched exactly the same to the official ones, like if you get them close, they can, they fit
They
in
still kind of
within
fit.
whatever faction. Yeah, yeah. And and that was without even really showing off the hallway, like the back portion of it. I originally thought I'd set up to where people could spin it around and see it, but it was just too tight of a spot. And
Gotta get big lazy Susan for that.
I have one from at work I was going to bring with me, but I was like, man, I know me. Once I start putting figures on this, if I go to turn it around, it's just going to be disaster after disaster, stuff falling over.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I totally understand that. But I mean,
um,
like when I brought Alex over and I introduced him to you, he saw that Aragorn figure or the
oh yeah,
Aragorn. Like I didn't even notice that the first time I saw it. So like I'm like starting to like look under stuff now. I'm like, where in the hell do you have figures at in this thing now? Like it was all over the place. It was crazy.
yeah. So I hope the fellow who bought it and took it home really gets to enjoy it, and takes a lot of cool pictures with it. Yeah, they were a lot of fun to make. I've learned a lot in making them. I've learned things, what to do, not to do, how to improve on it next year. And yeah, I think my hardest thing is limiting myself to how big I make it for next year.
Well, then there lies the fact, you had like a 6-foot table this year, right? Get
Hmm.
an 8-foot or a 10-foot table. You know what I mean? Or a couple
Yeah.
6.
And I know they're talking about, Jeremy's already talking about being in a larger space, not necessarily adding more vendors, but giving more of a PowerCon vibe. And the PowerCon booths seem to have more breathing room at the tables and in the aisles and stuff. So depending on what those options are, maybe, if they have like the corner, where you've got like the two tables, like
like an L
in a,
shape.
like, yeah, if you get like a corner of of a booth or something,
Yeah,
that would help. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm already thinking of stuff for next year, and
same.
um, making plans. I'll go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come home Monday. So I'm not doing intern and stuff again next year.
Yeah,
It'll be easier to breathing room would be nice. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing PowerCon this year, since it's going to be the second time in the same spot since they moved
In
it to
Columbus, right?
Ohio. So it'll be, because I hadn't gone to it before, but it'll be interesting to see how they set, because that place had a lot of space. It was a
Okay.
massive building, and just again, it felt like LegionsCon, like pregame.
Yeah.
Just because there were so many Legions fans there, that it was cool just getting to hang out with everybody. It was a lot easier without setting up a table. It was a lot easier to spend time with people and interact and stuff. So if that's something you
Yeah.
could make it to, I would definitely recommend going this year.
I'm thinking about trying to make it down there this year. So,
Very cool.
and thinking about other shows I want to like possibly do other than Legion's Con. That one is on the list. So I don't
Okay.
know. We'll see.
Like excuse me, as a vendor, or just going
Yeah.
to attend? Okay.
Well, both. If I can't get in as a vendor, then just showing up and going to the show would be kind of fun, because that's kind of like a 4 hour, 5 hour drive or so. Right,
Okay.
4 hour drive. So
Okay. Very cool. I mean, your son, maybe, I mean, the hotels and everything right there, maybe you could, if it's a weekend with your son, he'd probably have a blast. There were a lot of kids that I feel like, I mean, it wasn't like McDonald's playground, a lot of kids, but there were definitely kids at PowerCon.
right.
And I don't remember ever feeling like, oh, what are all these children doing here? Because it was a massive toy show. So um, I know some of the Horseman Studio folks had their kids there with them and everything. So
Yeah.
Curtis is saying he's bringing his wife next year with some of her dios, and hopefully his son will come too. I
That'd be
was
awesome.
saying this with you. I love how this is becoming a thing that a lot of people are doing with their spouses and partners and kids, and different parts of their family are coming together. Like Matt Rhodes, that was next to me, his sister was there with him, helping him run his table. And I know Carver Custom, Brian and his wife were there at with Leland's booth at Retrospect. So it was just really cool how interactive this is allowing like families to be within this. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
it all goes back to that community aspect of the Cabal, I think, and just how open the Horsemen and the company is.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I'm thinking about taking my son next year, but I don't know. We'll see if it pans out. So
Okay.
like he'd probably have a lot of fun seeing everything
Yeah.
that's there. So was
And
there
you just
anything at the
imagine,
show that you like bought that you were like kind of surprised that you bought, or like that you're super happy that you bought, but at first you're like, I don't know.
um, I mean, other than actual stuff from the Horseman table, I didn't buy a lot of extra stuff. I got one of the LED torches and one of the like actual like steel forged swords from I'm drawing a blank. He was right inside the front door.
Chucky, Chucky,
Chuck, yes, yeah,
Chucky C Customs or something like that.
yeah. He had like all the light up effects for the horses, and yeah, I got a torch and one of the metal swords from him. They were really cool. Melissa, I haven't put it on yet because I don't want to break it in until I get a Brontis, but I got one of
Oh, you got one of those
Melissa's
harnesses?
harnesses and the sheath.
I'm so jealous. I never got a chance to get over there to grab one.
Ah,
Yeah.
but I was like, do you have one that would match Bronis's eyes? I was looking at the light blue one, and she's like, yeah, but if you want it for Bronis, she's like, you should probably get this one. I was like, okay, I'll get that one. Um,
Chucky's
uh,
Geek Spot. That's what it was.
Chuck, yeah.
Him
I
and
think,
Chucky and I had a really good conversation.
yeah.
Yeah. So he's a great guy.
Um, I'll say I think one of the things I'm most excited to work with that I got was the porcupine set from Wolf King,
Yeah.
or Legion Shop, Wolf King. Because one of my first posts in the Cabal last year or earlier this year was I saw a video of a porcupine eating. I'm like, oh man, we need a porcupine, set. And I saw at Jeremy's table he had a porcupine. I was like, where did this come from? He's like, oh, they're debuting here, at the show. So and then Matt Rodriguez, he was debuting his Armies of Ashmore dinosaur figures that he's working on with the Horsemen, and he
Yep.
gave me this.
Oh, one of the
Like one of
yeah,
his old prototype stactions.
that's really cool.
The rest of it's up here, but I the Stegosaurus has always been my favorite dinosaur, so he gave me one of these to paint up and put together. So
That's really cool.
that was something that was not expected, and really cool. Yeah. But yeah, the few things I did pick up, I thought were, yeah, I wanted to get one of Trevor's calendars.
They're on sale until like December 12th, I think,
Okay,
on his site. So
I gotta get in there. How about you?
Surprisingly, it's not mythic related at all. I got 3 plunderlings,
Oh yeah,
and those little things are badass. I
yeah,
mean, I bought 1 for me, and I bought 2 for my son, and he opened them up this weekend, and they are so good. Like I didn't realize how like functional, like I guess functional, like articulated they were. Like,
mm.
and they're solid figures, man. For what you get in that little box, it's amazing.
Well, and the fact that you can turn the box into its own little decoration where you can like pop the ears into the side,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's yeah, I got one last year around the same time I think I got my first Mythic Legion figure. Um, and then I gotta say I wanted to get the white one with the bone skull,
And
and
that's one of them that we got this week.
by the
Or
time I turned around, I was like, "Do you guys have any left?" And they're like, "All we have left is Ash." I was like, "Oh, it's all right. He's cool." So I've got
yeah,
him.
that table sold out so fast too. Like
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap.
What's up, Carlo?
Hey, Carlo.
Drive safe. um,
Yeah, the hatchlings, like
Hatchlings. Yeah.
they didn't have any to buy there, and I don't think you can buy them on their site or anything right now. So like,
Mm.
I signed up for their email newsletter, whatever, because I'm like, I need some extra little bodies for those extra heads. So, and that was a really
Yeah.
cool thing I learned too. Is like the hatchling sets come with like 2 bodies and like an extra set of hands. So the base figure comes with 3 heads and 2 sets of hands. So technically, you can get 3 figures out of for about $50, I think. The all-in
Yeah.
price is.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap!
um, yeah, they're great. I love the little magnetic feature in the
In
headpieces
the
and
head.
everything, and
Yep.
yeah, that's really nice. I've got mine on a. They're both standing on like a little Lego rowboat from the old pirate ship.
Oh yeah, yeah, nice.
Um,
That's awesome.
let's see, Curtis Douglas picked up one of Melissa's Minotaurs. Those things were amazing.
Yeah,
Curtis says he got the Jugger Dwarf that I had painted up. My um, someone did one of the Jugger Dwarfs and they called it Knock Knock because is like a battering ram.
yeah.
So I was like, and I think it was Curtis. Someone did a Ram Man tribute with theirs. I'm like, oh, that's what I was gonna do, but I was too slow to do it. And so I was like, all right, well, knock knock. I'm like, I'm gonna do mine. I'm gonna make mine the Heisen dwarf. So he's since one called him knock knock, I'm like, he's the one who knocks. So
Yeah,
did him like black and brown, gave him like the bright blue eyes. So
that's
um,
fun.
Curtis got one from a dwarf from Eric LeBron. Yeah, his stuff was great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think there was a single table that just didn't have something that was I mean, everything was incredible, to be completely honest. I don't think anybody had anything there that was, except that one. I think it was Steven Brashadi had the one where he did the sloppy paint job in the one live video, where it just looks like he just melted crayons on it.
Oh, jeez.
To show, like, it just to show like how hard it is to paint them badly. Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
that
got to sit next
Fantastic
to that
Four.
dude
That
all weekend.
yeah,
That yeah, that's another highlight right there. Just
yeah.
sitting next to him and just talking to him. He's just as sweet as a guy as you think he would be. And then he's more, because he's got this like whole like goofy personality on top of that.
Uh-huh.
And it makes you just like not want to leave his side. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Okay. It was Len that did the crayon
Mhm.
looking one. Okay,
Okay.
which was still cool looking. Like, I mean, it wasn't like painted up as a functional figure, but it just looked cool the way those colors were just, just yeah. Yeah, Emil was so funny. I love that toy view thing that he claims isn't him, like after the show was over and it was empty. Did you
You're
see
me.
that?
You're
Yeah,
me.
hello.
So good.
Oh man. Oh, he was great.
How
Um,
about the 100 Acre Wood Winnie the Pooh tributes at
oh
Volcano?
yeah. Was that
Those were phenomenal.
was that that was I think that was that Nathaniel Armstrong?
I honestly, I don't know. I took some pictures. Though some of the pictures that I did take, that was one of them, and
Okay.
I don't remember who they were from.
I feel like it was someone with an N in the name. Oh yeah, man.
Oh,
That
Lord.
was incredible. Like Brian Almeida's like that arena
My God.
and that
Talk to
like
that guy,
oh man.
man. Talk about talent, and talk about just pure like craftiness coming out of that dude.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Just watching I remember when he first joined the Cabal, we had started messaging and I didn't know he had his background in the remote control car, whatever scale all that is. So like I didn't, he was like, "Hey, what do you think about this bridge?" And I was like, "Oh man, you're doing each of those bricks, you're cutting each of those bricks out by hand and like building." Or he's like, "Yeah, I'm all about like making it as realistic possible." And I was just like, "Okay, man, whatever you want to do." And then I see his display at PowerCon because I rode with him and Greg out there, and like hearing all of the background and everything, I'm like, yeah, of course. Like
Yeah,
um
another great, nice guy. Total nice. He'll
mhm,
totally go into like the process and stuff with you too. And like, I mean, I could have picked his brain all weekend,
yeah.
and I'm gonna continue to pick his brain in the future. So
Yeah. Yeah, he's just the amount of detail that he puts into every, like literally every brick he was sculpting in that bridge and everything he was working on.
yeah,
It I'm never going to put that much effort. I feel bad that I'm not going to put that much effort into making one of these. At least I don't see myself, maybe someday, but um, yeah, that's a whole different level of creativity that I just can't fathom. Like, yeah. And yeah, Dana saying Peter Boyle's stuff
oh
was
yeah,
great. All those like hand, oh, where'd it go? He gave me one of his wood spears. It's the
okay.
regular Legion spear, but he made it look like a wooden shaft. I thought that was really cool. Um, yeah. Any
Another
other? Oh, good.
was from Anthony Halseal, that hot air balloon.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that was amazing. That
Yes,
was
Patrick. It was Patrick Boyle, not Peter.
oh yeah.
Sorry, Danny. Um, yeah, that hot air balloon with the flying fox was That was great.
Again, like the amount of creativity in that room, just I wasn't ready for it. Like, I mean, people talk about it, but the create the amount of creativity that was in there, the energy from that room, just it was nonstop for 2
Yeah,
days straight.
yeah,
It was amazing.
it was. I think. Um, are there any other? Is there anything else that you? Was there anything you saw that you didn't get to really look at that you remember, or anything that like really jumped out to you that we haven't talked about yet? Um,
Um, I there are things that I'm remembering that I don't remember who they were, what table was at. I wish I could have like stayed at or looked at a lot of more of the custom tables. Like I wish I could have stayed at Eric Miller's table a lot longer and looked at his customs up close. Um, Immortal Collections, those guys were they had amazing stuff.
mhm.
Um, I just everything was just so fast, and it just that the day was over with, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
And people were closing up their booths and stuff after day one, and I'm like, all right, well, tomorrow I want to try to get over to that table and look, and a lot of that didn't happen a lot.
yeah.
So, um, but I remember seeing the Oni figures from I think it was Immortal Collections.
Mhm.
Those were really good. Giovanni Bly's table was
Oh, yeah.
amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna mention him if you didn't.
oh, he the yeah. I wanted to get over there and grab one of his heads, because I had picked up a Fury Clan orc, and I wanted to get one of those heads from him.
Mm.
Um, my friend bought his Medusa head or the Medusa figure that he had out.
Oh, cool.
And just his paints are amazing. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like just I wish I would have taken the more time to go around and look at everyone's stuff and
Yeah.
to focus in on it. You know what I mean?
I think I think maybe next year, now that they know how it played out, having the hotel and the venue in the same spot, maybe the setup night will go a little different next year. Um, because that was, I'm not complaining. It was a little chaotic Friday night.
Yeah,
At least
it
I
was.
thought it was. I mean, because there was just so many people coming in that weren't other vendors, and like for the most part, I think everybody was fairly nice. It was still had a lot of that same positive attitude. It was just a lot more interaction than I was expecting um, in that room that night.
Yeah, and like coming down for both days, like from the hotel, and like coming out of that elevator and seeing that line just kind of got me pumped up. You know what I mean? Before we even walked in, like I
Yeah.
would come down, but I came down both days and ate breakfast at the Continental breakfast or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and then just going right from there into the showroom and seeing everyone. I mean, they were all there obviously for the show, but they were in line for the Horseman table.
Yeah.
But just seeing everyone's like enthusiasm, just
Oh
it
yeah.
was it was great.
Well, and the fact that what Friday night someone was first in line at like 4:30 in the evening before we even got there to set up, you know, it's just, I mean,
People were like sleeping in the hallway.
yeah, yeah,
And
and
that seems crazy.
yeah, I was just, yeah, like you said, the energy in that room, it was just like, um, I do, uh, I get overstimulated, and I thought, being behind the table would help, and it did because I wasn't moving around as much. I got around a little bit at the beginning of each day before we opened, um, but I didn't even really get to look at the Creative Beasts uh, stand with all their dinosaurs and stuff, and it's something I definitely wanted to look at.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, yeah, there was just so much to see. Like, I barely remember walking by Jeremy's Mythic Customs table. Like, I didn't even get a shot of all of his animals. I saw that porcupine, and that stood out to me. But there was so much there I missed at his table.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't
That
even see the.
diorama that he he debuted was a pretty sweet too. That like samurai,
Oh, like the dojo.
the dojo, yeah,
Yeah,
that was pretty sweet too.
yeah, that was really nice. And I love Brian's kind of like critter, almost hobbit hole type diode that he made.
Yeah, yeah,
I thought that was really cool too.
yep.
Like you were saying, just the amount of creativity and imagination in that room was amazing. And as we've talked, how open so many people are to share and talk. That's why I didn't get to as many tables when I was going around, because if I
You got
talked
caught
to
up.
any, I would talk to the person who I was at. So it definitely wasn't time wasted.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Um,
Do you feel energized after this a little bit? I mean, obviously after the whole like not
um,
being sick, obviously, but like
Creatively, absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully, this week as I get home from work and stuff, I can start sitting back at the table and getting back into painting and stuff. I probably won't work any big dios for a while. At
yeah,
least physically, I'll start maybe mapping out what I want to do. Maybe I'll do the one I initially thought I was going to make this year. Um, that was even bigger and crazier than, than the one I brought. So,
oh man, that was that. How tall was that thing?
um, I don't remember measuring it. It was, I mean, the
3 foot
antlers
maybe.
the antlers were taller than me when it was on the table, so I'm not sure how tall the tables were. Um, yeah, I mean the statue itself, from the base of the statue, like where she joined the diode to her head, was probably at least close to 2 feet, if not more, on her own.
That's
Um,
giant.
yeah, and I want to say
And if you
the
could like,
lower portion was like 8 or 9 inches to the top of the where she stood.
okay,
Um,
that just that how sturdy it was too. That just amazed me at how tall it was and like how it wasn't like wobbling every time someone came up to the table. You know what I mean? That was
I
crazy.
was
That was
nervous about that, but yeah, it's just a couple magnets in the antlers, a couple magnets in her neck, and magnets at her
mhm.
base to hold her on.
Okay.
Um, and they were just like the cheap, Walmart or whatever, the little multi pack. So I learned from Brian to use those rare earth ones. They're probably even easier to hide in the build and cover up.
Okay.
So I'll get some of those for the next one. Try to make it a little more collapsible if someone buys it again.
Yeah.
Although the big one I'm thinking of won't be collapsible.
Okay.
If I can pull it off. Um, uh, we'll see.
Yeah. Excited to see it. You know what I mean? Like the to see what your ideas are and stuff and
Well,
see
thank
how
you.
they come together. So
Well, I'm sure between like some of the other things, I might save some of the dios as reveals for the actual show,
yeah.
because I like having some stuff to be surprised, but having the stuff like visible, what's going to be for sale, was, I think. Did anyone say that? Ask you about that? Like, I know with people doing customs, some people wanted to save the reveals for the show to be surprises there, and then other people know you should show them so people know what's going to be available to purchase if they were selling them.
Yeah.
Did what were your thoughts on that kind of thing?
I get it. Um I did sort of the same thing with the last two dwarven ones that I did. Um I didn't really show them off, but I kind of wanted to have like a reveal at
Okay,
LegionsCon. Um but I mean I get it. I mean you want to show like what you have, what you've done and be like, "Hey, I got something new I want to show. Just let you know." And I mean I get that part, you want to surprise people. You want that shock and awe almost.
yeah,
Um I say yeah, do it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to show everything that you're going to bring. I mean, if they have a general idea of what you're bringing, I think
sure,
that's decent.
sure. Especially now that we've both been there, people kind of know what to expect from us. So it'd be fun to hold some stuff back to be like,
Oh yeah.
oh, they upped it with this year, or
Yep.
something like that.
Yep. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
Um, and you said you're gonna try to get to a couple other shows this year
Yep.
as
Yep. I'm
event.
gonna try
Okay.
to. Yep.
Um, obviously, you said you've got something you're working on that you're not ready to reveal yet. Are there any other types of fountains that you have in mind that you can share, or anything?
Um,
Like you said you asked me if how I was feeling energized. Are you also feeling energized and
I
creative?
am. Um, it's mainly like trying to figure out some lighting effects, like with a remote, so you can like kind of colorize the water however you really want to.
Okay.
Um, but there are some design aspects I kind of want to dive into, like more like goblin ones, um, maybe some more elven ones.
Okay.
'Cause right now they're basically all like kind of like knightish or dwarven or like the blood fountains right now.
Okay.
Um, there are other designs I want to do. I want to do more gothic architecture, architectural, or
Okay.
yeah,
I gotcha.
that word, yeah. Um, but those are just kind of design aspects that I'm like, all right, well, that's going to take like a while just to figure out that little piece, and then I got to figure out how to mass create. Say if I want to make 10 of them, you know what I
Okay.
mean? And that's how I normally work. Like, um, I'll figure out a design, I'll make one or two, and then be like, all right, well, I can make this part really fast, and I can just bust out 10 of them. And that's what takes the longest, is trying to figure out a new design
Okay.
for the fountains and how that's going to coincide with the bases and how it's all going to fit together.
Okay. Now you said you do some research and you look into actual fountains and architecture and stuff.
Mhm.
Do you watch any of the like the sword and sorcery shows and movies or animations or things like that and draw inspiration from any of those things without leaning on the like the IP side of it?
I try to. Um, I don't really watch, like, I don't just sit down and just watch shows. If I do, it's either like right after dinner, and it's just kind of like, all right, we're gonna sit down and watch this. Like, we, me and my girlfriend have like four shows that we're like halfway into right now,
Okay.
and just trying to find time to just to watch those. It's kind of hard right now, and I think there's only like one fantasy show right now that I'm
Okay.
trying to get through, and that's Witcher season 2. I'm
Okay.
like halfway through it, and I've been trying to watch it for like 4 months now.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I do try to watch um those types of shows. I would love to start watching Rings of Power. Haven't watched any of that. Um House of the Dragon. I probably get chastised here, but I have not even finished Game of Thrones yet.
Okay.
I'm like on season 6 or so,
Okay.
and maybe 7. I don't even remember where I left off.
I
So,
Depending on what you've heard from people, I think it's definitely worth watching through the end. Um, it it's not perfect, but I overall enjoyed
right. And
the
that's what I
production.
heard.
And
Like it
when
like
you get when you get to Rings of Power, I think there's a lot of awesome, like it's up there production value wise with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I think, and just the amount of effort they went into building sets and even the stuff that what it was like 3D generated and every like computer generated, like it feels a very diverse, really cool world. And I think you'll um, be able to find some inspiration in those things because there's some really amazing uh, style choices and architecture designs in the different cultures you get to see in that
okay,
era of Middle Earth.
for sure. Look forward to that then.
Cool. How about books? Do you get to listen to books or read any books or anything?
Um, I am on book 4 audiobook of the Drit series.
Okay.
Um, I downloaded Audible like spring of last year or spring of this year, and I mean, I work my normal job is a dispatcher for a trucking company. So in between calls, I'll just have that audiobook playing,
Okay.
or podcasts, or you know. YouTube shows or something like that on.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it. I just recently bought The Last Ronin. I've had it
Okay.
recently, but I've had it for like 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
Haven't sat down to read it yet, but I'm planning on. I've read the first issue. I had bought the first 2 issues,
Okay.
and then I found the graphic novel, so I bought that.
Okay.
Um, I look forward to reading that. Um, my son has the first 2 volumes of there's a Stranger Thing comic graphic
Oh
novel
yeah. Hmm.
that kind of like tells the in between stuff that we don't see in the show. I look forward to reading that. Um, I don't remember. I know there's another one over there that I recently bought, but I don't remember
Okay.
what. But yeah,
Very cool. Yeah, I just finished book 2 about a week before the convention for the Drist series.
okay,
I'm doing like the prequel series first.
yeah,
So I'm waiting for my next credit to kick in
yeah,
probably next week and
okay,
get to book 3.
nice. Book 3, I thought book 3 was kind of slow. There was a couple good parts into it. Um, but book 4, I'm having a hard time getting through it.
Okay.
Maybe I'll just say that.
Okay.
It's just there's I don't know. I don't know if I'm just not engaged enough into it or what,
Because
but
if I understand right, book 4 is kind of like Star Wars. Those were the books that were written first, right? And then the prequels were written later.
I'm honestly not sure. I just started
Okay.
with the book 1,
Okay.
and then I've just been going with that like monthly subscription. I get that
Okay.
one free credit. So I I don't know like how they were written,
Okay.
but
Because I've had some people tell me that his personality in the original story where he's with all the other characters is a little different than his like origin story in the prequel story. So
that might be why it's kind of hard for me because in the first 2 books anyway, it was he had a little different mentality, but I mean, it was he is a different person now, even in book 3
okay,
than he was in book 1 and 2
okay,
because he's you know he doesn't have his family really anymore.
right,
So I think that's a
okay,
little bit of it, but yeah,
interesting. Curtis is asking me if I'm going to do a Wakanda Forever review. Maybe I haven't done a movie review in a while, but maybe I'll try to crack one of those out this week.
I loved it. I
I
saw it
did too. I
and it
went.
was amazing. It's very somber. That's all I'm gonna say for the viewers, but
I'll say it. I don't need every Marvel movie to be as serious and heavy as this movie was. It did have its fun moments,
yes,
absolutely,
yep,
but I feel like without diving into a whole sidetrack here, Multiverse of Madness and Thor: Love and Thunder went like too goofy for
yeah,
me.
yeah,
So it was nice to, and even though She-Hulk, I loved She-Hulk, it was intention. It was supposed to be funny.
yeah,
Um,
yep,
like this brought a lot of heart and weight back to the Marvel movies that I feel like I've been missing since the last Spider-Man movie.
yeah.
Um, so
I
yeah,
agree.
Curtis, I'll probably do a quick review sometime this week if I can get that in. But yeah, I absolutely agree. Like it's just that opening scene is so powerful is the word I think most of when I think about that movie.
And then the opening credits,
Hmm.
where it was just like
The only
silent.
Yeah, the only other time I've heard a movie theater that silent, as full as it was opening night of A Quiet
Endgame.
Place.
Oh, gotcha.
No, Endgame was obnoxiously loud.
See, that was not my that our our theater. It was so quiet in that first opening scene of that. We're like, okay, this is going to be a good theater. Like, I mean, you that's the fear is getting a obnoxiously loud theater,
Yeah, it
but
was it was like being in a room with a bunch of 12-year-olds that had never been in public before, but they were all like 30 to 40 something year old men, most of them. Oh, that's Hawkeye. That's Hawkeye's family. It's like, yeah, no duh, dude. Like everybody was calling out characters as they were showing up on the screen. I'm
That's so annoying.
like, oh my gosh. And every action, like I like a reactive crowd when it's like when it fits, but it's almost like that friend that like is laughing too hard at the fail. That's like, come on, man, dial it back a little bit.
Right. Right. Yep.
um, but yeah. Well, Alexander, anything else you want to say? I think we've covered a lot of stuff. There's a lot to think about.
We
Any
digested a
other?
lot.
Yeah.
No, I look forward to next year's LegionsCon. I look forward to interacting with everyone that I've made connections with from LegionsCon this year. Just to build those friendships up and just to continue forward with this wild ride. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of taken back a little bit about where I was, and after that weekend, like I kind of have a new outlook on everything.
Okay.
So it's been this past week has been very reflective on that. So
Since you've been home.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, very cool. I think it sounds cool.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
um,
it'll be interesting to see where this year goes.
Excellent.
With everything that's going on. So
well, I'm excited to see what you come up with. And if you don't have plans to reveal it somewhere else, think of me. I'd love to offer this as a place to reveal something at some point when you're ready to do that.
for sure, yeah.
Definitely love to have you back on at some point. So
that'd be amazing. I've had fun tonight.
Excellent. Me too. We'll unless anybody has any other questions they want to pop in here real quick. I'm going to thank Alexander for joining me tonight and all of us.
Thanks for having me.
If you hang on just a second, I'll do my close up and then I'll sign off with you here in a second.
All right. Sounds good.
So thanks for joining, Andrew. Andrew. Oh my gosh. I'm tired. Alexander, I'll hang on a second. I'll be right with you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Shooting the Shelf here on Just Shelve It. That was Alexander Earl DeShaw. You can check him on Drunk Gizmo Customs on Instagram. Or if you're in the Cabal, just look up Alexander DeShaw. He is shorthand at the moment, the fountain guy, but it sounds like he's got some other things in mind to be more than just fountains, because it is Drunk Gizmo Customs. So if you don't mind, hit that like button and all that jazz. I'm not going to overdo that. You know how this stuff works. But thank you all for joining me tonight, for joining us tonight. And I'll see you guys in the Cabal or online or wherever it is I interact with you. And until next week, what's on your shelf?